Well, hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Alex, Brett, Jen. Let's see. Arenas, Sharon, hello. Ashok, welcome back. I don't know if it's spring break in your areas. It is spring break in our area. Angie Greenspan, hello.
Day two, and I'm already tired. Being at the house.
I sent the littlest to a day camp for the first 4 days, so I'll have freedom until Friday.
Smart.
And the oldest is, who knows where she is. All right. Welcome, welcome. Give it a few minutes here as people are joining in. If you have questions from last week, you can feel free to put those in the chat. Happy to answer those as we go through this. As a reminder, for those of you guys who are here early, we are back to back as far as the training session and accountability, which means we are staying on this link throughout the entirety. We will literally move from the education portion into our accountability portion. So no logging off, logging on to something else. You guys will just stick around if you are staying for the accountability. Hello, hello. Let's see here. Do I have... Is Carolyn Figueroa here? Let's see her. Awesome. One question I am going to address, somebody asked about follow-ups from last week as we talked about just kind of like actions. We will talk more about frequency, and I'll kind of mention it as well in today's session. But follow-ups are not for no responses, meaning that when I'm doing outreach with my sphere of influence is on a repetitive nature. It's not like a lead just came in that took action or showed interest in a property where then I would follow up like 5 or 6 times if I had no contact. When I'm doing outreach and I'm going through my sphere of influence, if someone doesn't answer, I don't call them again the next day until they answer. Like, you're not putting your entire sphere of influence on a 5 to 7 day, follow-up sequence. Like, you will call them again in 6 weeks. And that's why we're going to talk about like how to reach out today that gives you the highest probability of a response. But the follow-up side of that is not necessarily like as robust as it would be for a lead that comes in. And Carolyn, good to see you. I don't know if you got some of that, but I saw your question. I just addressed it to everybody. Did you see my response email, and did that make sense?
Yeah, it did. It cleared up my question.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Awesome. All right. We got enough here to kick off, guys. I'm going to get started. Let me just give me 2 seconds here so I can make sure you guys' presentation is ready to go. And we're going to talk a lot about purpose of prospecting and outreach today, just so that you guys can understand kind of how all of this ties together as well as we talk about various other things and other activities that you guys are involved in. And we're also going to talk about the purpose of outreach and like, what is the end result? What is the end game? So let me go ahead and share this today. I'm always happy to give you guys background. People ask like, how long was I in real estate, et cetera. I've been around now the market for 25 years, and I have been involved in everything from property management to brokerage ownership. I've been a fix and flipper. I've been in commercial and residential. I've run both commercial divisions and residential brokerages, and I've taught sales and real estate negotiation across the country for the last 15 years as like a professional speaker. So a lot of my background has spanned from helping like regional brokerages all over the country develop sales programs, prospecting programs, things of that nature. So we kind of talked about this last week, but I really want to like nail it down this week that you guys understand that prospecting isn't singular. And so from a 30,000 foot perspective, if we look at what is the best way for a real estate agent to prospect, because sometimes I can see agents, they say, well, what's the purpose of social media? And what's the purpose of sending out a newsletter? And should I also be farming my neighborhoods and sending all these mailers and, doing all of these things? And what about ads? And what about this? And what about that? And at the end of the day, it's great. Like, they all have a benefit, but they all kind of stack that benefit on top of one another, meaning that the base of all prospecting efforts in any sales environment is singular. Okay. It's a singular sphere of influence type prospecting. Now, in order to be successful, you can learn just that. But if we look at like, how do I prospect and really market in real estate? It's not singular. It's not just your sphere of influence. For some of you, you want to add people to your database as you're meeting them. So you're networking, you're mailing, you're reaching out to cold expireds, you're doing advertisements, you're doing social media, you're email marketing, or you're sending out newsletters. Everything else, though, I want you to see as secondary, meaning that until you get your sphere of influence dialed in, you have your list, you're clear on that list, and you've got good habits weekly on doing reach outs to that list consistently. Every 6 weeks, you're getting through everybody, or at least that's your target, right? I don't want you to go crazy on everything else that you can add to this, because you can be very successful in this business by just doing that. If I want to start to grow my prospecting, though, it's not singular, okay? So I want to look at these things together and say, okay, how do they interact? And when I'm doing reach outs, what is the best way for me to do reach outs? So in the chat right now, what I want you guys to tell me is, what is your favorite way to do a singular reach out? Tell me what your favorite way is, whether that's email, text, phone call, DM, whatever it is. Tell me what your favorite source of reach out is in the chat. I see text, call, video text. I love that. Text and call. Thank you, Jen Taylor. Calls, email, text with invite or specific question. Cards, invites, love it. Can't seem to turn on camera or unmute. I'm not sure, Lydia. You can also try leaving the meeting, coming back in if it failed to start your audio or your video. Text cards, call text cards. Interesting with the cards. Like we're talking like snail mail, I assume, like sending out handwritten cards. Text and handwritten cards, love it. Birthday cards, etc. Fantastic. Awesome. So the reason I ask this is that when we look at communication effectiveness in general, right? And I'm going to give you guys these percentages, these stats, it won't be on your screen, but just think about this both from a chemistry or science standpoint and from an effectiveness standpoint. Words by themselves, right, is 7 to 10% effective in communication. 7 to 10% of what our mind needs to have a message communicated, like fully, right, comes from word identification. So when you send a text message, an email where it's just words, right, the brain is going to have a relationship with words, and it compiles about 7 to 10% of how your brain will then imply that message, which is why we get in so many fights via text and email, because we misunderstand things. We don't have cadence. We don't have tone. We don't have facial expressions. We don't have body language. We don't have all these things that the brain needs, right? If we look at just sound by itself, right, is 25 to 30% of our overall communication. 25 to 30% is just sound by itself. And so like when my volume gets loud, you can tell anger, you can tell excitement, you can tell seriousness, you can tell things by my speed. I can break something down and actually talk really slow, and it communicates a different message than if I'm going really, really fast. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, and da-da-da-da-da, right? So sound involves a lot of things, and we don't get that in a text and or an email. Now, we might get that in like a video text, right, if they choose to open that. Okay, and we'll talk about some of the hybrids here in a second. Visuals, right? So like body language visuals is 60 to 65% of our communication. 60 to 65% of our communication is visuals. We are a visual creature. So being able to see you, obviously, face to face, is going to always have more impact with communication, influence, things of that nature than any other form that we can do. So like a video, right? Like we're all on Zoom. You can see my body language. You can see my facial expressions. Like this has a pretty decent way of us actually being able to connect and you understanding my message when I communicate. When we look at where are the primary communication avenues, what I find is that most agents use what is the easiest to complete the quickest and what gives them the least amount of fear or danger in rejection. Because it's really easy, guys, to take rejection via text. It's really easy to like send a text and then I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to see your facial expression. I don't have to like actually hear your voice. I don't have to, understand whether or not I'm interrupting your day or fear. And then if you send something back, you're like, I'm not interested. You're like, cool. Like I can just, in fact, I can respond with objection overcomes because I don't have to see the feedback. However, it's also extremely easy to ignore your text, to actually easily reject you via the written word, because I also don't have that same fear of having to reject you in person or over the phone where I can hear your voice, hear your tone. So understand that it's a two-way street. Because it's easier for you, it's also easier for them to reject and pass off. And so we're going to talk about rhythms today and why I'm never going to recommend a singular outreach pattern. I am going to recommend a multiple outreach pattern on every single call. Every single outreach a day should not get a single medium. They should get multiple mediums. Here's my rhythm. I'm going to look at my list. Let's say I've got 10 people to call today. I am going to call all 10 of those people right off the bat. Boom, 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 boom. I am going to leave a voicemail. Okay, this part's important. I'm going to leave a voicemail if I don't reach them. And it's just going to be something like, hey, it's Mike with Compass. I'm just calling. I wanted to talk to you about X. Would love to get a call back or would love to chat with you. Here's my phone number, right? I'm going to tell them why I'm calling, what was the topic, what was the purpose, and then I'm going to leave the voicemail. I'm going to go through my 10 and then I'm going to go back through my 10 and I'm going to send each of them a text message that says, hey, just called and left you a voicemail. Would love to chat with you about X, again, that thing, and I'm done. Now, the reason for that specific rhythm is because they're going to get 3 notifications. 3 notifications timed over probably about a 10 to 15 minute period. They're going to get a missed call. They're going to get a voicemail. They're going to get a text message notification. If at any point in time, guys, I go an hour in my day and I pick up my cell phone and I look to see how many notifications we have. I checked my phone, guys, literally probably 4 minutes ago. As we were kicking through here, I looked because I thought I was getting a message. Already, I've got another 8 notifications in 4 minutes. So the number of notifications that are coming in, guys, with emails, with phone calls, with text messages, with Instagram, with TikTok, with Snapchat, with Instant Messenger, if you're on Slack, if you have a company, some sort of Asana or project, you've also got all of these other networks that we're a part of, all of which we have all of our apps turning on notifications. So you sending a singular text message, one, right, to somebody communicates, I'm in a crowd, hopefully you have time, hopefully you value my relationship off of just spotting my notification to want to call me back. One notification, one singular. You are one voice amongst many. When they miss a call is actually the top priority still in our brain of communications. Like if I see an email notification, I can check it out. I know where that sits. If I see a communication from Instagram or Facebook, I know where that sits, right? If I receive a mail piece in the mail, I know where that sits, right? Hopefully I read it. Hopefully it doesn't just get thrown out, but I know where that sits. A phone call is at the top of our priority in our brain. So now all of a sudden I see a missed call, I see a voicemail, and I see a text message. 3 communications, guys, from one person communicates a little bit higher of a priority. It's not a magic bullet. It doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to start responding, but it will absolutely increase your reach out and your response rates from your sphere of influence. So my recommendation That's my rhythm. I like that because it gives multiple touch points all within a very short condensed period of time. And if I don't get them during that period of time, guys, I'm not contacting them for another 6 weeks. But that's because I'm also on social media. I'm also sending out emails, stuff that has value. So they're going to get other impressions in their mind to hear from me between now and that next 6 weeks. And every time I get to their name and it's a call day, I'm calling them and it's just about business. Let me just check my chat here real quick just to make sure you guys are good to go. Okay. Any other questions so far on that? Awesome. Prioritizing my efforts on call days, and not every day has to be a call day, but call days are things that that are important for you to schedule into your time blocks. Here is my priority in regards to phone calls and reach outs. Very first thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to follow up with anybody who is a lead, anybody who I might be doing something for, like a CMA. I'm getting them set up on a search. They're getting pre-qualified by a mortgage broker. Maybe we're trying to set them up to see some property, etc. Those
On your desk. I don't want them to be there.
guys, take yourself off mute, or please keep yourself.
On your desk.
Give me 2 seconds. Katerina, thank you. So when we look at these situations, we want to prioritize our follow-ups and our sphere of influence first. That's always the first things I want to make sure I complete on the day. If I have now past client reach outs where, maybe once a week I'm going through 5 to 10 past clients and I'm touching base with them, I'm seeing how things are going. I might be asking for referrals. That's going to be my secondary priority. It's right behind follow-ups and sphere of influence. Then cold phone outreach. So if I am working lists, expireds, for sale by owners, things of that nature, absolutely that's going to be next. And then number 4 would be digital outreach. So text messages, IG, Facebook, things that might just be digital, ads, mailers, all of that kind of stuff, that would be in that 4th quadrant. Okay. So priorities are always going to be people that know me and people that are actively hot right now have shown me some sort of action in regards to wanting to do something, followed by clients or past clients, followed by cold outreach, people that I'm reaching out to on the phone, followed by everything else. Okay. And again, if you have questions, please put those in the chat. Those in the chat for me. Let's see here. High impact activities. So the purpose of prospecting is not conversion. It's not client conversion. I want to be really clear with that. Most people are not ready to say, yes, I want to hire Alex Miller because you talked to me for 5 minutes on the phone. Right, Alex? And sorry, Alex, I'm picking on you because you're right in my cube. If you look at a list of just names, how can you tell who's ready to buy? How can you tell who's ready to sell? How can you tell who's got a certain kind of problem or not? You don't. That's the purpose of prospecting. That's the purpose, is to actually figure out, where are people's interests right now? What are they pondering? What are they struggling with? What are they kind of confused about or frustrated with? Is it their situation? Right? And so in a very short period of time, because most of these calls don't have 20, 30 minutes, when you're just calling people throughout the workday, right? It's to figure out, what can I do that will put me in a higher impact environment to have a real conversation about real estate where we can explore your interests. I can show you some of my advice and we get to experience that, possibly even face to face, right? That's the purpose of a prospecting call. It's to move that individual into another activity in which you get the chance then to go through all the things that you think you want to do on a phone call. Like, oh, cool. Well, tell me, where you're living and what's going on and what interests you in real estate. Like, they don't have time for that. And so we have to figure out what's the approach that puts somebody in a position where I can say, oh, you know what? I could do this for you. That would actually really be a benefit to you, right? And then in the actual activity of doing that, we get to talk, we get to know each other, we get to figure out whether or not it makes sense to do real estate, okay? And so high impact activities and high impact activities could include things like a CMA, an investment analysis of their property, or even a performance analysis, like how well would this perform as an investment property, or how I like the word performance analysis over property analysis anyways. Taking someone out just to have fun, showing property, to show them what's out there, to show them new homes, to show them, you know, how wild open houses are right now or not. Inviting someone to an open house that you're doing, okay? All of these could be high impact activities. What qualifies as high impact, all right, is that it should consist of some form, even if it's brief or momentary, of a face-to-face contact. I get to actually see you, I get to meet you, I get a hello. That may be over Zoom, I'm okay with that as well, right? You get to spend a fair amount of time of at least being able to provide them some like relationship time. You get to know them a little bit more. You get to investigate their interests a little bit more. They get to learn a little bit about you and watch you express some knowledge. All of this is what creates actual connections with clients, right? So before someone is going to be a client, most of the time we go through an interim activity, getting you pre-qual, talking about that, getting you set up on a search, talking about that, a CMA drop-off, a performance analysis drop-off. Like there's these things that we do prior to someone saying, you know, I think we do want to sell, or I think we do want to buy a house, or I think we do want to start looking, those kinds of things. These are high impact activities. So your goal out of prospecting calls is to line up as many high impact activities with people as possible through what we call suggestive conversion, right? Suggestive conversion is just like, and I'll use Jen Taylor because Jen, you're also right here front and center for me. So Jen and I are talking on the phone, and I'm always going to start off with Jen. It's Mike from Compass. I'm actually calling. I have a few questions about your opinion of real estate right now. I want to focus the entire conversation on what is your opinion. Could you help me? I have just a few questions. I'd love to understand your mindset because I'm trying to figure out where my clients' mindsets are right now on the current industry. Do you have just a few minutes to answer a few questions? And if Jen's like, yeah, I do, great. If Jen says, no, I don't, great. Is there a better time for me to call you back? If Jen says yes, that becomes a follow-up. I'm putting that as a follow-up. I'm calling Jen on that day, right? If Jen says, yeah, I've got a few minutes, go ahead. What I'm going to first ask her, and this is just my way, I'm going to first ask her about the market. I'm going to say, well, what's your opinion right now of the real estate market? Why is that an important question? And what will that give me in Jen's mind? That's going to give me possibly like, well, I think it's overpriced. I think it's a great time for sellers. I think it's, you know, this, or this. I think interest rates are high. She's going to give me things right now that she views as problematic, right? She's going to view these as problematic. I might say, okay, well, Jen, do you own? Are you an owner? Have you considered like selling right now? So my second question would be, what's your opinion of what the right time is to buy or sell real estate? And what is that going to tell me, guys? That is going to tell me what they believe right now their current hurdles are and what they believe optimal market conditions look like in order for them to buy or sell. Now, in this conversation, I might go, you know, she's a homeowner. I'd love to further this conversation, but I promised her that this would be short. I've got a few questions. She's answered a few questions. So I might say, Jen, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time in answering those questions. It does give me a better picture of like where my clients and like social sphere is from a market attitude standpoint. I would love to actually do an analysis on your property so you could see exactly what it is worth right now. It's obviously of no cost to you. Is that something that you would be interested in me dropping off? Or if you want to go with the assumptive close, you could just say, I'm going to be in your area on Friday, or I could drop it Saturday when I'm going to be showing a property near you. And I just give her an option of the day she wants me to drop it, right? And I want it to be a time that she's home that I can just flip through a few pages. And I might tell her it'll only take 5-10 minutes. But again, what am I looking for? I'm looking for high impact activity. I'm looking for a face-to-face with her. I'm looking for a good amount of time so that I can actually she's not just completely distracted. Like she knows I'm coming. and I can express my knowledge on something. I can kind of investigate her interest. I create a different connection, guys, than I ever will with Jen, right? Is everybody understanding this? Now, the difference between a great salesperson and an average salesperson is that conversation. A great salesperson is able to ask a few questions and from the conversation extract out the information that's necessary to say, here is a suggestion of where we could go next. Here is a suggestion of something I could provide you. Here's a suggestion of something that I think is going to be of value to you. And by offering that suggestion, that is your conversion. Average salespeople, that's going to take some time. They might have to like think about it, say thank you, get off the call, and then text Jen later or call Jen later and say, hey, you know, I was thinking this actually might be something that might be useful for you, and try to close later. It is much easier, guys, to get the conversion while Jen is talking on that initial call. Okay. So high impact activities, that's what we're looking for. Those are all things that we want you guys working with. Again, same as last week. Don't go from 0 to 100 on this. Do not go from the attitude of like, okay, I'm not doing any of this to I'm going to do all of this. Start breaking it down. If you're not doing multiple medium communication reach out, start there. Just start with, okay, I'm going to just start by making a phone call, leaving a voicemail, sending a text, and do that for a week and watch the difference in response rates that you get from your average just text reach out or DM reach out or email reach out. All right, let me check my chat. We've got a few minutes before we're going to jump into accountability. Let's see here. And I will make sure that you guys have the ability to unmute yourself now. Let's see here. So Deborah, you mentioned even SOI or sphere of influence. You're talking about on the multiple modes of medium, or what were you referring to in that?
Multiple modes of medium. Like it, I've been doing this 19 years. I've got some clients who have been with me since, let's say, 2011 or 12. I'm their gal. Like,
Yeah.
you still want me to, I do reach out based upon what I've been doing. But you would still do that 3 system even with them.
Yeah. In fact, 10 years ago, Deborah, you didn't have to.
Right.
10 years ago, we did not have this notification cloud around our day. Post-COVID, because of how many people started moving to digital communication, we now have connection points everywhere. And so the amount of noise that we are getting as just normal consumers every single day is so massive that it requires multiple communications over a short, condensed period of time for you to stand out as far as someone who's trying to reach them. Does that make sense? So it's not about annoyance. I can promise you this is not going to annoy somebody. If they're annoyed, it has nothing to do with, I can promise you, that you called, left a voicemail, and sent a text. Like, it's not like I'm sending a text, sending an email, sending another text, calling again, sending another text. Like, that might be a little bit of a sequence. Even that probably isn't a ton, but that might be a little bit much. So one phone call with a voicemail followed by a text, that's appropriate, to be honest. Like, I'm just doing my job now at this side to make sure that you know that I was trying to reach out. And hopefully you see the message then at that point. So yes, absolutely with sphere of influence. I think the other question, though, that you also have to answer for some of you who have businesses that are already set up and you're very, maybe 100% of your business is on referral right now, or your word of mouth. Do you want to grow it? The answer might be no. I have no problems with that, right? But if you want to grow past the level of transactions that you're currently doing on that wheel, right? And you want more, this is the way to get more. If you don't want more, stick with if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Like, I don't want you changing what you're doing with your people if you're on a great residual right now after 19 years. But if you want to grow that, this is the best way to grow that. All right, let me look at the next ones. Let's see here. Yolanda, what about buying leads from those companies that send you those for 15% referral fee? Can someone try that? Yes. We're going to go over digital lead conversion. I want to say it's week 4 or week 5. We get into digital lead and I talk all about the purpose of those. Digital leads are a completely different world. They're a completely different mindset. They're all about repurposing. I will give you that little insight or trickery. But we will cover that. I don't want to go too far in that today, but the same practice would be, right? If I'm taking in digital leads and I'm reaching out to them, call, voicemail, text, and I want to do it in a very short, condensed period of time. Cherish, Mike, this is the sequence. Please confirm. What's your opinion of the market? When is it optimal time to sell or purchase? Thank them, suggest high impact activity. Yes, that's perfect, Cherish. And those 2 questions can be any questions, right? I'm okay with either of those questions in either order. It's everything I want it to be about them. And I want them to be really easy questions for them to answer that aren't yes or no's. And so like, what is your opinion of the marketplace? People love giving their opinions on stuff, especially when they're invited to do so, especially in a non-public or social environment. It's just one-on-one. And then I like the question around, what do you believe the optimal time to sell or purchase is? Because it gives me a glimpse of like how they see opportunity and what they believe a good market versus a bad market is, because that helps me understand what kind of data would help shape maybe their decision moving forward, right? And then I thank them for that. I suggest some form of high impact activity or some piece of value that will give me an opportunity to either be with them in person, drop something off at their house, something where it's not a phone call in the middle of their business day, so I can have a little bit more of an opportunity to create a connection. That's the purpose. Sphere of influence. How do you handle the fact that they don't need a market analysis due to them staying in their home permanently? Everybody's curious. Take a different angle too, guys, on market analysis, right? Like if that sounds boring to you, there's probably a reason. It's probably boring. So what could be different? Well, what about a performance analysis? Have you ever showed somebody the actual investment or return on investment it might make if they turned it into a rental property? If they decided to move, what would be the cost of purchase to sale ratio right now for them to actually move, right? Like take a different angle than just, hey, I'd love to drop you off a CMA and then show up with like a Zestimate. Like it's because I've literally seen that, right? Do something that is a little bit more intriguing to the mind. And that's where you guys have to get creative and you have to get personal with your own theme of like, where are my strengths and where's my zone of genius? That's what we want you to do there. Angie Greenspan, my sphere of influence is 99% millennials who hate phone calls, which is why I have never done them. Could you share a loose script that could help me with this phone call adverse generation that I'm admittedly a part of and also hate when people call me? There isn't anyone that I've ever met that's like, I love being cold called. Ever in the history of calling, I've never met anybody that's like, yes, I love this. Granted, there are people that are more common with phone communication because it was the only communication that they ever learned. But what we find with millennials is that they still will connect. They're just so adept to all this other digital conversation and communication, right? That they find it easier to just send you a text. I will tell you that increasing the volume of touches again in that short period of time will get them to respond, and it might get them to respond in what form? Text. Still a response. And so it's okay if they're not actually getting on the phone, right? Send them a voice text, send them a video text, send them that way. If you get a response via text, at least I got a response, okay? I'm less concerned about getting you on the phone as I am the phone call still being a priority in the mind of a communication outreach. And so I want them to see that they missed a call, see that they missed a voicemail, and get a text from me. That's the actual purpose of the calling. It's to create the awareness in the brain that I just missed somebody trying to reach me. That's all. Great question, by the way. And guys, we're into our accountability summit. I always do the first 5 minutes here as questions. So I'm going to continue with some of these questions. I agree with Angie in terms of disliking phone calls. I find many clients really dislike calls during the transaction. They mostly just want text. In fact, over 90% of people surveyed say that they want to be followed up on things. Keep in mind, that's post something happening, right? Via text or digital communication. We prefer like being like, hey, keep me in touch with that, or tell me the outcome of that, or follow up with me on that via a digital piece. Again, the purpose though of calling is not necessarily to get them on the phone at that moment as much as it is to create a response. Angie, you can still call because it ends up the script. Perfect. Good answer. What are some other good questions to ask? Anything that's opinion based, take a position, right? You can say, I actually think it's a really good time to buy right now. What do you think about that statement? What's your opinion on that statement? Or I heard a client the other day say, they think it's a really good time to buy. How do you feel about that, Veronica? Like, how would you respond? Like, just play around with different positions, and you can basically take any position you want in the marketplace and see what they think about it. Sometimes people, when you ask them to, especially open on a call, and you say, what's your opinion of the marketplace right now? They go, oh, I don't know. It seems, I don't know. It's like, okay, I have to be a little bit more specific then for them, right? If someone's still very surface level with you, just say something like specific, like, well, do you own a home right now? And they're like, yes, I own a home. And I said, well, do you think it's a good time for you to sell your home right now? Tell me why. And then listen to whatever their response is. Like, get more personal. It's easier for them to then give their opinion on something that's personal about their stuff. Because some people they'll get fearful of like saying the wrong thing about statistics or talking about market conditions because they're like, I'm not really informed. That's okay. Whether or not you feel it's a good or bad time for you to sell your own property right now. And they might say it's a bad time. We've got 2 kids that are in school. We wouldn't want to pull them out. So it wouldn't matter about the market at all for us. It's about like where we are as a family. And what I want to know then is, how old are their kids? What year is that, right? Because that's great information for me to now know about my sphere of influence of when this family is likely going to start to look to sell this home down the road. That's what these calls accomplish for you guys, is you've got this list of, let's say, 300 people, 400 people, and there's no way for you to tell by looking at those people when they want to sell, when they want to buy, what is going to be of value to them, etc. That's what prospecting calls are all about. It's about identifying different behaviors, identifying information that allows you to focus on people more individually. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see here. Let me do a couple more questions here, and then I'm going to get you guys into breakout sessions. I'm 100% open to calling. I just don't know how to sort of message the conversation, message knowing that they don't want to be called. Angie, talk to me about that. I saw you in your response to Liz Licata's on that.
I'm just trying to like, okay, so I feel like when I call people in the past, I get the like, is everything okay? Because I've never reached out to them via phone call before. And I'm trying to figure out how to massage the message. Like, to me, calling a sphere of influence and jumping right into real estate talk is just not how that's not my vibe. I more want to just like, I just don't know the message. I just don't know the script or like how to get started, because all of my outreach prior to literally today has been 99% digital.
Right. I get it. So you've got an advantage because when they do see you calling, they think it's an emergency. I'm like, I wish I could create that out of my entire sphere of influence. Number 2, the reason we recommend guys going right to business is because based on consumer surveys and feedback, the thing that consumers hate the most during their business day is chit chat with the salesperson, where they're like, hey, you're like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? Catch me up. And they're like, I can't, Angie. I'm about to go into a conference room. I'm about to go into a meeting. I've got work. Like, what are you calling about? Right. And so it's actually more appropriate, although it feels less personalized. It feels like I'm caring less about you, right? To say, I'm actually calling about real estate. I have 2 quick questions for you, and I'd love to get your opinion. Do you have some time to chat with me really quick? Promise this won't take more than like 3 or 4 minutes. I can set up that context. It is their now responsibility and choice to say, yes, I want to talk to you right now, or no, I don't. But I've told them now exactly the purpose of my call. I've given them a little bit of framework of how long it's going to take. And I told them what I'm going to be asking them of, right? I'm going to ask you a few questions about real estate. That's it. Those questions, that's why these 2 questions really need to be kind of your own personalized questions are going to tell you a lot about that person, right? Even if it gives you a little bit more than you had versus just their name on a sheet, it gives me information to know possibly if they're a homeowner or not right now, where they are in their life, what they actually think of the marketplace, possibly what they think the best time to buy or sell is going to be, like all of those things. And then I might ask them at the end of the call also, are there any real estate questions that you have? Are there any like confusions or frustrations that I might be able to fill in the blanks for, right? Or highlight for you? Like, I'm also a resource of anything else that you want. And I can do that along with my suggestion of a high impact activity. Does
Thank you.
that help a little bit? Because again, I hope they answer and they're like, oh my God, Angie, are you okay? And you're like, yes, I'm actually great. I'm actually calling because I'm trying something different. And that's actually speaking to you. And I have 2 quick questions because, you know, you can answer these questions quicker via phone than you can via text.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You bet. All right, let's do one more here. I'll go with Alex. For past clients at closing, I like to see the expectation get permission, set the expectation or get permission that I'll be calling something like, just because the transaction is done doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. Is it cool if I still give you a call on occasion? I love that. Like setting up the preference of moving forward, that I am going to be reaching out, that there is a per se post-client relationship, you know, habit that I have, I think is fantastic. And it's the same thing you guys want to do with your sphere of influence when you're calling them. Before they even become a client, if I do get somebody like Angie on the phone and Angie says hello and we have a conversation, at the end of the conversation, even if she says, you know, I'm really busy, whatever it is, be like, hey, do you mind if I kind of keep you though on my list and reach out from time to time to say hello and to ask your opinion about the market and things of that nature? And if she's like, no, I really don't want to be contacted, honestly, guys, off my list. I do not want myself on stage with an audience of 10,000 people that are checking their phone. I'd rather have 80 people in my audience that are absolutely dedicated to hearing and listening and are interested in a relationship with me. That's my target client. I want to build on that, right? I'm okay if someone says, you're not for me. Please don't reach out. Please don't contact me. Like, I want you guys to know that that's like a gold mine. You're like, cool. Thank goodness I can take this one out. I save 0.1% of a cent every time I send them, you know, a bulk something. So saving money. Okay. All right. Here's what I want to do. I want to put you guys into breakout rooms today. And with these breakout rooms, I'm going to give you a conversation piece. Okay. What I'd like you to talk about are the activities that you have found helpful that you can provide to prospects, like CMAs, performance reports, inviting them to an open house, inviting them to go out to see showings, getting pre-approved with a mortgage broker. I want you guys to be able to say, hey, here are some things that I do that have been successful in people finding interest in it, that people have found valuable, that would give you the ability to have that face-to-face kind of conversation, or it be defined as a high impact activity. So I'm going to break you up. There should be about 4 or 5 people per room, which means we'll have about 10 rooms here. Give me just a second to assign you guys here. And I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes in the room together. Again, you're going to be discussing, guys, what are the activities that you have found helpful that you think prospects, people in your sphere of influence, find valuable that you offer to people as a way to further the relationship, right? Create the connection and possibly even convert them into becoming a client. So you'll have 10 minutes. I will pop in with little text messages in between, but you should see a room invite happening now. Please join that room, and I will see you guys back here in 10 minutes. If you are still on the call, it might be because you are just listening in, which is totally fine. If you're on a device, please still join that room so that you can listen in. So I want to make sure we have enough people in each room. Deborah Reinhardt, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, I don't know if you can join that room or not. All right, welcome back. The others have their full 60 seconds here before it'll automatically push them back, but thanks for coming back. Janelle and Kristen, how are you guys? And Anna, hello.
Good. How are you?
Good, very good. All right. Awesome, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As everybody comes back in here, I'm going to be asking you guys to share just kind of like what you learned. If there was any cool ideas, great ideas, something that we can share with everybody, that would be fantastic. You can also do that in the chat if you don't want to come off mute. Here comes everybody else. All right, guys, welcome back. Good, good, good. So here's what I want. We got about 6-7 minutes left of today's accountability session. I'd love for you guys to share what you just learned. If there was something that stood out and you went, hey, this was a really good idea, or if there was just a good conversation around something maybe that we've even already mentioned, please share. You can share in the chat and I'll read it out loud, or you can take yourself off mute. Ben Lauer said, I really like what you said about the easier the contact method is for us, the easier it is for them to ignore. Calls are really important. Yeah, I mean, digital communication has its double-sided eases, right? Easy to ask, but also easy to decline. What else you guys got? Great thought. I love that. Somebody also asked, how do we define sphere of influence? I think it was Philly, maybe. Sphere of influence is literally friends, family, common known people in the area. Even if you may not have like their contact number, it would be anybody that if I saw them on the street, I went, oh, hey, how you doing? That's a sphere of influence. Like they're in somebody who would recognize me and I would recognize them in town, 100%, all a part of it. Someone who just is on a list on cold call is not. So Liz, and this is great, guys, for wrap up too from last week. And I'm sure there are other people, Liz, feeling this way. So please don't feel like you're abnormal. You're feeling very stuck about getting contacts into a spreadsheet. It is an elephant of a project. It is something that like I can promise you once you get through a few steps, like it will build momentum. What I will offer is I can either jump on a call, because that's a big step. I don't want that to be a roadblock, and it will become a roadblock if you don't get through it. Does that make sense? So where are you stuck?
I haven't done a thing because the thought of dumping contacts into a list sounds absolutely overwhelming.
So is it the clicking of the button part, or is it the, I know
Even just, I mean, I'm not that on tech savvy. However, just the idea. I mean, contacts in my CRM are great. Everything's great. It would be easy. Just that'd be where I'd start. The main people, the things I've already done.
okay.
But even
that's-
knowing how to do it step by step, I need someone to just take me step by step through it.
So
to-
Chat GPT, and I literally would say exactly what you just said to Chat. I'd say, Chat, I want to export my contacts as easily as possible. I need a step-by-step way to do it, and tell them the source in which you want that particular export. So I want my Google email contacts. I want my LinkedIn. I want my mobile device, whatever it is. And it will literally
That's
walk it right through to you. Like, it will literally be like, pull up settings, click this button, click this, and you're done.
So, okay, so that seems, I know it's not, but it seems irrelevant to me. Those contacts, to me, the first step would be the contacts that the leads and the clients in
Sure.
the sphere of influence that I actually have in my database. So
And-
is there a step by step to just do it from the Compass?
Yeah, and I
CRM?
would say, personally, I don't know it. There might be somebody here who has it, but I would say just reach out to your AEM,
Yeah.
and just be like, hey, I want to export them into like a digestible CSV. And that is absolutely the best way to go. So if you can, if you guys have all of your contacts and it's complete in your CRM and you need it for the call purposes, export it into a call purpose sheet where then I can go through it all the time.
Okay.
But she
Do you
sounds
have
like
your
me.
people? Oh,
She
sorry.
sounds like me because I have a ton of clients and I love them and they're easy to reach out. But with my sphere of influence and all the people I hang out with and my friends and all the people at my kids' school, I am the undercover agent. And I'm like, they know me already. They know my personality. Why am I so afraid to show them I'm a realtor? And I think that was my block from doing my phone because it made me step out of my comfort zone and be a realtor to all these people that I'm like undercover agent. And I'm like, if I was going to sell my friend, I would rather sometimes sell a house to a friend and have fun than do a client. But it was a hard leap for me to be brave enough to do that. I don't know if that was that was my block.
No, and I'll tell you what, guys, I will put it this way, right? There is something uniquely amazing about the feeling to not have to be on when you're actually out in your social sphere. So like the purpose of these calls is to actually get your business touch in so that you don't feel like every time you're at the country club, the pool, the daycare, the sporting outing, the PTA meeting, the book club, whatever it is that you're like, hey, by the way, remember I'm a real estate agent. It's like, no, like when I reach out to you, that is my business call for my business day to talk about real estate and align something possibly that I can do to show you value. I then get to be your friend at the game. I get to be your friend at the PTA. I get to be your friend at the book club. I get to be your friend at the club. Like we're just friends. I can just be myself and you get to know my organic self, not my like organic / I'm also angling business self, right? So calls take the ability for you to say, I can just be me everywhere else. I can network. I can pour into other people. I don't have to talk a second about what I do, right? Because I'm going to get to you. I'm going to touch you. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to get in all of my prospecting touches that are important. Also, Alex, I want to address your comment as well about the CRM. I saw that. Like, why don't we just use Compass CRM instead of a spreadsheet? So I'm going to say it's not that it's impossible, but if I'm going, I can do it for a day. But let's say I go 5 days a week and I want to do that 3 weeks in a row. That's 15 days in a row where I want to quickly be able to get through 10 phone calls a day, right? Well, where did I start and stop the day before? And every time I finish a call, do I have to go to the next contact and click? And what if I end up resetting it? Then do I have to remember who was it that I just contacted? And I'm going through each of the contact cards within the system to get to their phone number to make the phone call to go to the next person. That compounds over time. And if I'm not really fluid with the technology and or I'm not remembering where I started or stopped the day before, it becomes inefficient. People will wear out because they won't get through it as quickly as they should get through 10 phone calls in a day. And they end up then just burning out and prospecting stops. So I recommend an Excel spreadsheet because I have each phone number literally one after the other, and I'm just dialing. And I know right there on that line where I stopped that day and where I go next. And then every time I get through my 6 weeks, so every time I get through one round of contacts, I download a new round. I start over because there's people that I've added, there's people that have changed, there's notes that I've made from prior. I can download everything, and then I go through that entire contact list again in the next 6 weeks. Carolyn, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say that I started up that group that kind of meets every day and prospects every day at 1:30 Eastern time.
Awesome. Can you put that in the chat too for people?
Yeah, so we just do a daily half hour, 1:30 to 2, and this is Cindy and Keith, I think he's on this call too, that we meet every day. So if anybody's interested, they can send me an email.
Reach out to Caroline. Perfect. Carolyn, sorry, excuse me, Caroline. Awesome, guys. Thank you for your time today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We will continue to press through, and as we move into more sessions, we will start to branch off, obviously, outside of sphere of influence. We'll get into digital lead conversion. We will get into networking, how to add more people. We'll talk about open houses. We're going to talk about everything under the sun, circle prospecting. We'll do mailers. I want to say that's actually one of our last sessions in this track. So we will get to everything. I like to hone in on this for the first 3 or 4 sessions because it's super, super important. And it's such a big part of what will convert quicker for you guys than some of the other prospecting avenues. So hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I will see you next Wednesday.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.